Good evening, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel with a quick look at the tropics. We've got a lot to weed through. We've had a lot change over the last 24 hours and obviously some major impacts to the overall forecast for us. As you notice the big picture out there, we've got some thunderstorms out there. Marko, or TD14, was upgraded to a tropical storm this morning, and as you see right now, those winds are sustained at 65 miles per hour heading north-northwest at about 13. The key is it is rapidly intensifying. It's kind of leveled out over the last hour and a half, which is somewhat good news for us. Obviously, we may see a change in intensification with the 10 o'clock advisory, but the main thing to point out is we are still seeing a bunch of thunderstorm development, not so much around the center of the circulation right here, but a little bit flaring up towards the northeast. That's where those deepest thunderstorms currently sit with the heaviest rainfall. So we're going to have to see if it becomes a little bit more organized heading into the overnight hours. Once it moves and barrels into the central Gulf, it looks like it is kind of moving pretty swift now to the north-northwest at about 13 miles per hour. So again, that's going to be key. Does this system develop and deepen? Does it gain some roots as it makes its way through the Gulf? And main thing is, as that happens, do we start to see a little bit of a banding, kind of more of that normal signature tropical storm or hurricane that you're typically used to seeing with a well-defined eye, because that's where it's going to rapidly intensify, and that's where we're going to see the winds really start to pick up right now. Now, I do want to point out the other system. We've seen actually a lot more in the way of development. Look at all that thunderstorm activity right across the Dominican Republic and all the way towards Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's been slammed, obviously, with some very heavy rainfall throughout the day, and really just over the last 24 hours. They started seeing some of the western side of the storm yesterday. They're still seeing some of that rainfall, obviously, at this hour this evening. So most of that heavy rainfall, it is going to be moving into a more mountainous terrain, but as you see a lot of this, you're kind of seeing this spiraling feature just around Puerto Rico going back into the center of the storm. Luckily, this system is going across land, not giving it time to really just rapidly intensify. Otherwise, I would assume we'd see the same picture. This could have been a beast if there wasn't land in the way, causing it to slowly gain some strength. But right now, those winds are sustained at 50, heading west now at 18 miles per hour. So as you notice, again, mainly across the northern Caribbean and really what we're calling the far western and southwestern, between really the Bahamas, that part of the Atlantic right now before you even get to the Keys or the Straits. Yeah, that is that window of opportunity for possible development and strengthening, and that's why we're going to have to watch it very closely, because really once it gets to the northern Gulf, I think it's going to run into a little bit of wind shear. So the possibility of reaching hurricane strength has to happen somewhere in the central Gulf before making its way inland. What I do want to point out, and just to show you timing-wise, because this is going to be very crucial as we continue to move forward, what I'm going to show you here, and I'll point it out, this is Monday afternoon making landfall. This is Marko right here. It's going to be taking more of since the previous run. Yesterday, it was looping right towards Florida, heading right to Corpus Christi, between there and Galveston. Well, obviously, the early run, it crisscrossed, and that was 10 o'clock this morning. Well, as of the latest advisory, excuse me, the early one, I'm getting my advisories mixed up now, but with the latest advisory, obviously, this is the concern right here, now heading directly almost up the mouth of the Mississippi River as a Category 1. And because of that, there are now hurricane watches all along our coastline, from Intracoastal City all the way to the Mississippi-Alabama state line. Category 1, just remember, again, we're talking winds over 75 miles per hour. And I think the concern here is, if you notice, it's marching directly from the Gulf. That's going to be pushing in a lot of water from the southeast. That means moving back into the lakes, like Marpo, Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Bourne, so, and even along our coastline, we're going to see a lot of that water surge inland, along with those very strong winds if this current path follows. Now, again, I still want to point out, these are not definite paths. A lot can change in the next couple days. And I also want to point out now with Tropical Storm Laura moving across Hispaniola, and the good news is kind of across Puerto Rico. It's probably going to dump a bunch of rainfall there, concerns for flash flooding and maybe even some mudslides, but then it moves back into the open waters, still as a tropical storm, but that's where it's also in the central Atlantic. You can see where we get that rapid intensification to hurricane going Sunday to a Category 1 for Marko. Well, I think by the time we get to about late Monday going into Tuesday, we could see it reach hurricane strength. So I do want to point out there's a difference. This is Monday afternoon. For Marko, this is Monday afternoon for Laura. They are not arriving at the same time. All right, I repeat, they are not arriving at the same time. They're going to be about 48 hours apart. So notice what happens. As you see here, Laura crosses the past path of Marko and then hooks back up to areas just a hair, I would say, west of Grand Isle, potentially as a Category 1 storm. So again, that means winds greater than 75 miles per hour, driving up right through the Baton Rouge area, maybe as a tropical storm, and then making its way up into Mississippi, Mississippi, Arkansas, and northern portions of Louisiana. And as you see what happens here, by the time Marko gets inland, it quickly kind of weakens into a tropical storm, moves directly across Baton Rouge, possibly as a tropical storm, and then barrels its way across the state into Texas and quickly downgrades to a tropical depression. Now, I do want to point out here, again, tropical storm, most of the impacts are going to be on the eastern side of this system. However, if you see how the path of Laura kind of moves in, we get those stronger winds through Livingston, Tangipahoa, Ascension, possibly Assumption, and every coastal parish in between, all the way down to the New Orleans metro area. Those are going to be seeing the biggest impacts with this type of storm. So again, if it moves a little bit further west, well then Baton Rouge could be right under the gun with this possible situation. So again, a lot to kind of watch and take in because a lot's happening all at once. So you see here, track models, again, a little bit of fluctuation for Marko. You can see it kind of moving just a hair. Again, you can see it could go anywhere from central Louisiana all the way even to Mobile Bay. There still is that possibility that it could continue to keep stepping a little bit further east. As you notice here, the second one, obviously that's Laura, and there still is a pretty big spread, but it's still kind of consistent with our long-range models that, yeah, we're going to probably see some type of landfall in Louisiana. Could move a little bit further west towards Lake Charles and Lafayette. So again, to watch out. So Marko will make landfall on Monday with the current timing. Again, this is the current timing. Could be adjusted slightly. We're talking midday. Laura looks to be sometime mid to late on Wednesday now, so about 48 hours after Marko. We need to see how much damage we get from Marko, how much rainfall we get, because we could be seeing some very waterlogged trees at this point, and any wind from Laura could topple those trees, and we could be seeing widespread power outages, blocked roads. We could see water over some of our roadways. Again, a lot to really kind of take in, and the key here is now is the time to prepare. You've got this evening, and you've got the entire day tomorrow before we really start to see some impacts. And I think our first impacts will start to arrive early Monday morning as that system approaches. I do want to point out, again, a lot of bathwater across the Gulf of Mexico. You can see temperatures currently sit in the mid to upper 80s out there. Again, there is going to be that chance. And as you notice, moving into, if I can step that back a little bit, but going into late Tuesday, I'll jump back into it, and you'll notice that by late Tuesday, Monday into late Tuesday, there's a little bit of wind shear ahead of that system, which will help to kind of keep that system from keeping its strength as it moves inland. It should hopefully weaken Marko before it makes landfall. That's key. But look at Tuesday. The Gulf of Mexico is wide open. That wind shear moves on. And guess what? There is no wind shear there ahead of Laura. So the concern is that's when we're going to see that rapid intensification of Laura as it gets very strong. You can even see it here on the European model. We're still kind of seeing this system follow that ridge, which means there's, again, some steering winds kind of driving it almost directly towards the west here. And that's why that first turn, at least with Laura, is going to kind of bank and head towards Louisiana. Right now, Marko's kind of running out of time, so it's going to quickly shoot up into Louisiana and then off towards the northeast. But as you see here, it looks to be slightly weaker and a little bit smaller in size, and that's exactly what we want. But as you see, looking at the Euro, look at Monday, you can see that it quickly starts to strengthen and becomes a little bit larger, and then you're going to kind of see right around the mouth of the Mississippi, the Euro kind of drives it through with some decent winds. So again, I think, everything, or at least most impacts, are going to be on that eastern side or northeastern quadrant of the storm. So here's the American model, and it's the same type of scenario. It kind of keeps that system a little bit loose, a little bit weaker, maybe only a tropical storm making landfall. That would be good news for us, a tropical storm with the majority of the heavy rainfall. As you see here, a few miles to the east. And that's potentially what could happen, because if the system really doesn't develop, and what we're currently seeing in the Gulf of Mexico, that all those thunderstorms are kind of flaring up towards the eastern side of the storm, not near the center of the storm, meaning we could see all the heavy rainfall from Mississippi into Alabama and the Florida Panhandle versus directly on top of us here in Baton Rouge. And then obviously, again, keep an eye as it makes landfall. This one now is Laura, happening sometime late on Wednesday, and you'll see the strongest winds are going to move right up the Atchafalaya Basin. The heaviest rainfall will also kind of sit on that eastern side before driving up towards the northeast. So here's what we've got going on for basically our entire coastline. We are now under a storm surge watch. That means, again, look for the potential that our water levels could be anywhere from 1 to maybe 3 feet above normal, and I do believe they may even up that a little bit. It's a little too early to kind of give definite numbers right now. I think the key is just to kind of point out that storm surge could be pretty drastic in some locations, especially once Laura kind of moves in on the backside. So I do want to point out that, again, that is also going to change. Now, we do, for the Baton Rouge area, highlighted in yellow, that is a tropical storm watch, which means we are most likely going to start to see tropical storm conditions within the next 48 hours, meaning within 36 hours, they'll probably upgrade that to a warning. Right along the coast, highlighted in the pink, that is a hurricane watch, and that's basically from Cameron Parish all the way to the Mississippi-Alabama line, and that also includes the lakes. It also includes the city of New Orleans. It also includes Livingston and Ascension Parish, Tangipahoa, St. James, and St. John the Baptist Parish. So a little bit of our viewing area, and also a little bit further south. So we're talking Terrebonne, Lafourche Parish, and then obviously a few more parishes towards the southwest. So obviously the key here, and I think our biggest impact is because we're going to get slammed by 2 storms, it's rainfall, and these are just some early estimates. Most areas are probably going to see 3, for at least us further inland, maybe 3 to 6 inches of rainfall. But the key in these type of systems, it's where do those feeder bands set up from. If one band could sit on top of us for multiple hours, we could easily see 6 to 12 inches of rainfall. So we're also going to have to be on local river and stream alert, keeping an eye on the Amite, the Comite out there, the Tchefuncte and the Tickfall rivers, the diversion canal, because we could see those water levels quickly rise if we get some of these feeder bands to set up on top of us. Again, the first wave comes in, dumps a bunch of moisture off the Gulf of Mexico, and wave 2 comes in, pushes more water inland, and then we get that next wave in. So it's really that 1-2 punch out there. As you notice, also at Flash Flood Watch, they haven't issued it for the entire viewing yet. Most averages are going about 3 to 6 right now, but there is that potential that rain rates could be at 3 to 6 inches per hour if those feeder bands really begin to set up. So a lot could happen, and that's why we need to have a game plan. If you need to get those sandbags, go to our website, beourproud.com. It shows you all of those locations where you can get all that information. It also kind of gives you tips on shelter information, where you need to go for evacuations. Everything is kind of outlined on our website and on our app, beourproud.com. So again, here's a little bit closer look at Marko. Right now, winds are sustained at 65, gusts at 75, heading north-northwest now at about 13 miles per hour. And you can see here by Sunday, stepping up to about 85, 75. Monday afternoon, about to make landfall. And then by Tuesday, we're talking sometime afternoon, should be kind of downgrading to a tropical storm. And then moving into Wednesday, we're sitting in Texas as a depression. But notice directly, probably about, I would say Tuesday morning, moving over the capital area as maybe a strong tropical storm. Now again, here is the very latest, as you see here on Laura, kind of driving right past Cuba, strengthening in the central Gulf. By Tuesday, making landfall on Wednesday, Category 1, and then driving right up through the capital area as we speak. So again, the current winds are sustained at 50, gust at 65, and it's now heading west at 18 miles per hour. So again, we've crossed off Laura and Marko. Obviously, there's nothing immediate concern out in the Atlantic. What you need to do is prepare, not panic. It's the time to take that game plan and put it into action. Make sure you refill all emergency supplies, water, batteries. Make sure you check on that generator. Make sure you got enough fuel for that. Plan for a category or higher than the forecast, just in case. Again, you can always say, oh, let's go for a Category 2 or Category 3. And then if it ends up being a strong tropical storm, Category 1, you're in better shape. The other thing I do want to point out is because this has never happened before, so there's going to be a lot that's going to come up with this type of situation. This is a historical event, so we could be seeing a lot of heavy rainfall first, then we could get some stronger winds with the second storm. We could have more power outages than we technically could expect. We could be seeing a lot more rain than where we wouldn't see it in normal locations, and that's why this is very concerning, obviously, and this is why we need to take this system both systems very seriously. So make sure you check your yard, bring in the lawn furniture, make sure you check your gutters, make sure you also check those ditches in front of your house, and if you haven't done so, download your Be Our Proud app. It's free and it's got all the information you possibly need. Also, follow us on social media. You can go to @JesseGunkel on Twitter, and I'm trying to update as much as possible. I'm trying to update as much also as I possibly can at meteorologist Jesse Gunkel on Facebook. So there's new information, new graphics. I'm analyzing storms, taking a look at where new model runs are going, if we're going to start to see a shift to the east, shift back towards the west. If we're starting to see some intensification happening really around the center of these storms, if the structure is getting larger, smaller. Again, a lot to kind of pick through in the coming days as we continue to move forward. And just to give you an idea, again, just to show you, when you're looking at a Category 1 storm, those are winds at 74 to 95 miles per hour. And again, those are some pretty intense winds. Now, again, just stick with us. I think that's going to be the key in the coming days. We'll try to be your calm. We'll also watch what you're kind of sifting through on social media. There's a lot going out there. A lot of it is incorrect information, and I just want you to make sure you got reliable sources out there. If you can follow the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service here, the one in Lake Charles, you can follow Jackson, Mobile. A lot of those sites are really, really good for giving that extra information out there, and they're also doing a lot of live streams too, just in case if you don't pick up ours, you can pick up theirs too. So just make sure you check on your neighbors, make sure you check on your grandparents, make sure you check on, you know, anybody you think is necessary. And also, this is also going to be somewhat of an interesting year in case of evacuation. Make sure you got that face masks, make sure you're doing everything that you need to do, obviously because of COVID concerns. So if I can bring you back up on full screen here, we're streaming on Facebook Live. If you have questions, please, I want to hear them. I want to make sure that you can rest easy this evening. Just to let you know, again, we've got about less than 36 hours now, or just a hair over 36 hours to potential landfall of Marko. And then we've got to about Wednesday, maybe early Thursday now, for Laura to kind of filter in behind what is left of Marko. So we're going to continue to keep you updated this evening and throughout the day tomorrow with multiple updates, and obviously we probably will go with continued coverage as we head into Monday as Marko arrives to Louisiana coast. Thanks for joining us.